By the time our children are in middle school, they have been practicing portraiture for at least 10 years. They have drawn their families since 2 years of age, so they should be able to draw a face quite well after 10 years of practice, right? Children in school have all been taught the rules of drawing a face, using proportions and dividing the face into many areas, as if dissecting a worm in science lab. But they still look terribly stiff and contrived. I needed to find a way for my students to have fun with portraits and become better artists through the process. I wanted to teach portrait drawing in a different way this year in my middle school art classes. My art students started their classes, as they always do, by making their own sketchbooks. They complete daily drawing exercises assigned by me in their sketchbooks. After completing each drawing exercise, they write the date on the bottom of the page to keep track of their own progress, just like a track athlete keeps track of his own best time. This year, I added a skeleton to my art room. My students drew all parts of this skeleton, practicing and reinforcing the concepts of value, proportion, and line. After drawing the skull several times at different angles, I had them draw their own faces, using 1 or 2 mirrors per student. Here's the difference. Before handing out mirrors, I had students use chalk pastels to add visual guides to their paper before starting their drawing. First, I had them chalk up one of their thumbs or a tissue with chalk pastel. They used one of a variety of earth tones. Then they used their thumbs or tissue to draw the general shape of the head, necks, and shoulders. Then they drew a guideline where they should draw their eyes and smudged in eye sockets. Next, they draw with their chalk thumbs or tissue where the bottom of their noses belong and the width of their noses. Ears and finally mouth are added along with their width. As they were adding these pastel guides, I was reviewing the rules of portraiture to them as they went along together. I was also adding my own pastel guides on my own portrait, where they all could see as I was using a document camera to project onto the wall. At this time, I asked them to put down their chalk pastels, and I collected them, and add all the many details that make up their bare bones portrait look more like themselves. I encouraged students to use a variety of line and value as they looked in their mirrors. Adding these chalk guides before drawing helped my students to focus their thoughts and to remember all the instructions they've been taught over the years before they started drawing. I liken this pre-drawing step to a written outline prior to writing a report in language arts. The pastel chalk guides serve as a kind of visual outline. They're now free to see and to draw without having to remember rules of proportion. They just now draw what they see, filling in the blanks as they look in their mirrors. Their more logical thought process involving proportions and measurements are for the most part done, and they are free to use their more creative nature to finish these portrait drawings. I ended up with children internalizing their formal instruction and summarizing it into a portrait outline, which they use to guide them through their self-portrait drawings. Our portraits are more interesting and better drawn than ever before. They use more inspired lines and are more satisfying to student and teacher. Every portrait exhibiting character and individuality. Children are now more willing to try different poses, angles, and expressions when drawing portraits. The skeleton drawings remind them of what is hiding beneath the skin and where the shadows and softness need to be drawn. I will surely use this drawing method again with next year's students and can't wait to see the results.